And by the way, you can take, because I said they can take all the panels that came off of the trucks, send those down to DOGE so he can create a box to collect his things. Once he brings his things back to Tesla, you can reuse those panels and create some more. It's kind of like recycling. Hey, shout out to all of the subscribers and members here on the channel. My name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. I don't know how to break this to you, but they got Elon. Yeah, they got Elon. Yeah, they gave him a box. They said, we giving you 30 minutes to salute all your coworkers. That's right, your heart gonna be with them on the way out. But on the bright side, Elon, you don't have to leave all by yourself.
After more than 100 days of national security chaos and, of course, the Signal scandal, Michael Waltz is out as Donald Trump's national security advisor. That's the headline, although it hardly does justice to how this all unfolded today. It started this morning with reports that Waltz and his deputy, seen there Alex Wong, were soon to be removed from their jobs, fired, basically. People familiar with the situation told the New York Times that this was, in fact, an ouster by Trump. But then this afternoon, Trump spun the ouster into something else.
Well, I think you got to put this under the heading of vintage Trump, because a few hours ago we heard that Mike Waltz, the national security advisor, was being shown the door. But as he went out one door, he went in another one, and that was the nomination to be the UN ambassador. Here's what Donald Trump said in a Truth Social posting. He said, I'm pleased to announce that I will be nominating Mike Waltz to be the next United States ambassador to the United Nations. In the interim, Secretary of State Marco Rubio will serve as national security advisor while continuing his strong leadership at the State Department.
Now, I want to say that I feel vindicated because when Donald Trump picked all of his appointees, I said the only one I support was Elise Stefanik. And I supported her because we needed to send her as far away from civilization as humanly possible. Nobody wanted to interface with Elise Stefanik. And guess what position Mike Waltz just got as his complimentary prize, right? His participation trophy from getting booted out of being the national security advisor. Yeah, that's right. You see, I be knowing.
Wait, what? This was an abrupt and incredible shakeup that would leave Marco Rubio, get this, simultaneously holding at least 4 official full-time jobs in the government. Secretary of State, acting national security advisor, acting administrator of USAID, which of course they're trying to destroy, and just to throw it on the pile, acting head of the National Archives.
Does Marco Rubio got some Jamaican in his family? Okay, well, if he don't, they gonna have to do a whole remake of Hey Man.
Don't yell at me, woman. I drop my uniform wherever I want. I work 15 jobs. I don't have time for your foolishness.
Cause I ain't seen nothing like this before.
And all of it came as news to Rubio's own spokeswoman at the State Department.
The president has just written on Truth Social that Mike Waltz is going to become the new U.S. ambassador to the United Nations.
Well,
Therefore,
there you
no
go.
longer the national security
Fabulous.
That is the most obvious tell. I have no idea what you're talking about since Marco Rubio at the State of the Union address. Y'all remember Marco Rubio at the State of the Union address? We started talking about Marco Rubio's business and he didn't have any idea what was going on. That's it. Fabulous. I've done that before. Don't catch me out. Hey, Reese, what's going on? Because we know it, because we did a comedy show together back in 2014 over in Brooklyn. That's it. Fabulous.
And in addition to that, he says that in the interim, Secretary of State Marco Rubio will serve as national security advisor while continuing his strong leadership at the State Department. Do you know how long he's going to be serving in both roles?
It is clear that I just heard this from you. I think that one thing I've learned is that things don't happen until the president says they're going to happen. So the fact that is, which was obviously Truth Social. Yeah, so that is the miracle of modern technology and the social media.
I mean, fabulous.
Nah, they got to get her up out of there. They got to get her. You can't be out here openly admitting that you're hearing information from the first time because somebody just saw it on Truth Social. We can't have that. Put her on the Democrat pile. Yeah, we can't be admitting that we don't know stuff. That's crazy. But Elon, if you thought that you were going to be spared, you got to keep in mind who Donald Trump is listening to at this particular point in time.
It also appears that part of the story happening here is a kind of ideological purge led by, drumroll please, this woman, seen here chaining herself to one of the doors of Twitter's headquarters in 2018 because the platform had banned her for her consistently hateful posting.
Okay, I got to stop us right here. Nothing says they were right to ban me for my hateful posting like coming to your headquarters and chaining myself to the door. That is pretty much validation. If you were banned for a year before, now you get a lifetime ban, because clearly that instinct was correct. Just give me one more chance. No, I'ma act right. You know what? If you don't, why don't you answer the phone? What do you mean I'm not calm? What do you mean I'm not rational? Well, you know what? If you don't take me back, I'm coming down to that job.
Now, early last month, on the very same day that Donald Trump announced his tariffs, according to the New York Times, he also had a truly weird meeting with one and the same, Laura Loomer, in the Oval Office. And in that meeting, you got Laura Loomer, President of the United States, and the guy running the national security apparatus for the most powerful nation on earth. They're all in the Oval Office, and in that meeting, Loomer, the one you saw chained to the Twitter door, was blasting Waltz and his staff as insufficiently loyal to MAGA. Shortly afterward, Trump fired 6 officials on the National Security Council. Those were officials Waltz had defended in that same Oval Office meeting, apparently to no avail. They do seem to spend a lot of time together, that she can make recommendations sometimes. Sometimes he listens to those recommendations. Today, we got the news that, well, Waltz was out at NSC. I don't know from outside if these things are related, but here's what I do know. Loomer had beef with Waltz and his deputy.
Alex Wong, he's Chinese, by the way, so I don't really know who's doing the vetting. If I was involved in vetting, things like this would not be happening. Okay, so again, I don't know why we have Chinese individuals in positions of national security in the Trump administration. Maybe that's a question for Michael Waltz.
I'm quite sure Alex Wong is an American citizen. Loomer seems to think that he's ethnically unacceptable in the position he had. Whatever the reasons for Waltz being marginalized, which is possibly that he had a, quote, in Loomer's mind, Chinese deputy, Trump is kind of rearranging the deck chairs on a badly listing ship and trying to do it in a way that doesn't look bad for him.
Well, you know what, Elon? As disgusting as all of that is, and as shameful as all of that is, and I hope you're proud of yourself, GOP. Yeah, all the congressmen and the senators and all the people that work your whole life so you can get to this particular point, only to have Laura Loomer in offices calling shots and getting people in the upper levels of our security apparatus fired. Well done. Well done, all of you. Seriously, I hope you're proud of yourselves, and certainly continuing to roll over would be the best way out of this. Just continuing to roll over and let her call the shots and do what she do. And by the way, Democrats, feel free to amplify this. I am. That's probably where y'all probably should be. Now Alex Wong, notably, because I made a whole video about that, about how with all the Signalgate stuff going on and all of the mayonnaise that was in that chat, they found a minority to blame. Okay, I had a whole video all about how they look far and wide. Is there any no black people was in that chat? Was any Latinos in that chat? Any Indians was in that chat? We got some women in that chat, but we'll go to that next. Oh, I think it was Asian. It was Asian. We'll take it. So, as much as that was so transparent that they found a minority to blame in the Signal chat fiasco. At least, Elon, you are, how shall I say, ethnically acceptable, as Chris Hayes put it. So, you know, you might be fine.
Elon Musk has been a big part of the first 100 days across the 100 days, as you probably noticed. And now we have a special report on one of the most unprecedented parts of all this. The world's richest man reportedly now moving beyond daily government work. That's the plan. I'll explain that in a moment. But he did join the cabinet meeting today in a little bit of a different posture. If you think that body language matters, and in Hollywood and Washington it certainly often does, back in February he was very big, standing over, almost lording over the meeting, bravado. Today, while definitely a presence, he was seated. It seemed almost coordinated, as the president also made a point of praising Musk while hinting at his departure.
Now, at this point, before they change this frame, I would just like to highlight billionaires are just like us, you know, because when I leave the house to go grab the mail, or I'm going to run down the street real quick because we just ran out of milk, that's exactly what I look like. You know what I mean? That is exactly what when I'm late and I just got to run down the street real. That is exactly how I leave the house when I am thoroughly unprepared. And look at a billionaire. You know what I mean? There it is. You know, all stuff that you could procure at Marshall's for less than $20 total. You know, we're a lot more similar than we think.
This whole room can say that very strongly. You've really been a tremendous help. You opened up a lot of eyes as to what can be done. And we just want to thank you very much. And, you know, you're invited to stay as long as you want. And at some point, I guess he wants to get back home to his cars.
Now, they really coordinated all those hats. They really coordinated all those hats on the table, like, cause I know they go everywhere. They just make sure that they have the $15 made in China Gulf of America hat to present to the world. I'm sure that's what you want everybody to see first. This was so silly and transparent. Even Ann Coulter saw through it, and she can barely see anything.
This is not political rocket science. You can kind of see what's happening. Special acknowledgement, the applause, alluding to going but not being pushed out. Stay as long as you want. There's actually more to that under law, which I'll explain in our report. But we have evidence that Musk is planning to get back to his day job or other business day job, so to speak. And we have evidence that is documented because there are still rules, even if you're pals with the president and a partial government employee. There are rules through the SEC and shareholder and regular updates about what the CEO is up to. Musk has told Tesla shareholders he'll spend less time on the federal government stuff and more time running the company. His personal fortune has crashed an astounding $114 billion in these 100 days. That is a ton even for someone as rich as Musk, over $1 billion a day lost. And it is related. Musk, of course, broke out his chainsaw and he got some things done in Washington, trying to use what are basically quick fixes instead of the longer hard work of changing staffing plans for a multi-year budget with Congress. He went in and tried to pick off or fire the people that were easiest to do under the current rules. His fortune, of course, is based on many things, but a huge part is the only currently publicly traded company he has, Tesla. You can see the price dropping over a third. And there are a range of reasons, but even Tesla analysts and pro-market people who want Tesla to succeed have complained that partly it's that Musk has politicized himself, his brand, and his companies. The regular Americans have taken the protests against Musk's government cuts and taken them out in the streets, in the fields, into Tesla shops, calls for boycotts. But it also goes beyond that company.
And yes, it most certainly does, which brings us to the issue of the day, because they've been telling me that the rampant opposition that we have seen nationwide, of course, with regards to Trump and some of the policies that his administration have passed, but specifically with regards to Elon Musk and DOGE, they've been telling us that this was all left-wing activists, didn't they? All these George Soros-funded troublemakers just bust all around the country all of the time. And also the same people that apparently voted for Trump's approval rating at 100 days and voted on the new leader of Canada. Who knew? Who knew that these left-wing activists were so widespread? That is just crazy. They have been in denial about there being any opposition to Elon Musk. And now look at you. Now look at you. Now look at you. And once again, I would like to bring in all the GOP senators and congressmen who allowed all of this, who have rubber stamped any whim that Trump could possibly conceive of because of your fear of Elon Musk's money, and me continually asking you, how many times do we have to assert how unpopular he has become for that to not be a thing? Well, I guess now we know. Hey, congratulations. Yeah, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here. Matter of fact, Vivek left a couple things. Vivek left some stuff in his desk. If you can go ahead and send that out to him.
Americans have been clear that the idea that a part-time employee of the federal government who also insists on running his other companies having this much power over our federal government and our staff and various programs, that people don't think that's a good idea and that they are aware of the obvious conflicts of interest.
My concern right now, and I think I speak for a lot of Americans, is Elon Musk.
Elon Musk and DOGE have been authorized by the President of the United States.
Can we count on you to go back to Washington and demand immediate oversight into DOGE and Elon Musk?
These are real people looking at this real situation and with their response. And we've covered before how some things in government still work. We've seen the Supreme Court continue to do its job and enforce limits. We've seen some agencies enforce limits. We've also seen the Trump folks push and get away with a lot. But keep in mind, most members of the Trump administration and all of the cabinet, they are following the current rules. They don't think they would get away with breaking the law on that and still trying to order around federal government employees. If you insisted on running, say, the Treasury Department and Goldman Sachs and making money self-dealing, we have every reason to think a court would say no. And then all the employees at that agency would say, I'm not following your orders because the court just said you're not in charge. There are things that still work, is my point. Musk has found a temporary loophole where he doesn't have the same level of divestment, oversight, or transparency because he's a part-time employee, what's called a special government employee. It's that loophole. So you don't actually have to go as far with the ethics requirements and financial disclosures, let alone divesting your whole company, because the idea as flexibility was sometimes the government might need a certain expertise from someone who's not going to easily step away from their whole job forever. But there's a limit. 130 days of government work a year. Under law, that's the limit. And there's evidence he's spent, and this is debatable, but Fortune says about 90 days so far doing it. And he says he wants to keep working a day or two a week. He could stretch this out and kind of keep in a relationship with the president. But the larger point is, however it seems sort of random, and now they're having the meeting, and hey, thanks a lot, they're heading towards a 130-day break. And maybe they don't like admitting at the Trump White House that they're following the rules all the time. So they're not citing that reason. But it is interesting to see they're approaching that limit. And remember, Musk could keep working after that limit if he just wanted to follow rules like everyone else, do some disclosures, join the cabinet. Only he can say, and only he might really know why he's so afraid or unwilling to do that.
Now that is interesting. That is really interesting. So you're telling me that the same guy who was ducking all invitations to appear before Congress and have any level of transparency when that was the thing, right? Oh, we need to be transparent. Well, we're going to put everything on Twitter. Wait, you mean your app where you curate everything and feel free to suppress any dissent and free speech that you disagree with? That's your transparency? And by the way, the stuff that you do put out gets challenged and all of a sudden it just disappears. We got issues with decimal points. Was that a billion or a million? You know what? What is a couple billion here? You mean that level of transparency? The guy that was ducking all of that, now all of a sudden is seeing his way out just before it comes to a point where he would be subject to any kind of oversight. Well, that's not suspicious.
But this is still a big problem. I've told you, there's sometimes in politics where we just get a denial that, no, it's no problem. Musk and Trump understood it was a problem, so they didn't deny that conflicts were an issue. Instead, remember, they initially made a big show of claiming there would be no business conflicts, no requests for help. It was a vow that they then very publicly broke.
I mean, I haven't asked the president for anything ever.
And if it comes up, how will you handle it?
Well,
you won't be involved.
Yeah, I'll recuse myself if it is.
If there's a conflict, you won't be involved.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't want that, and he won't want it.
I love Tesla. You got to give him credit.
We want the future to look like the future. And it's kind of, what kind of truck would Blade Runner drive?
The one I like is that one. And I want that same color.
You can't make this up. You really can't make this up. All the way down to the I love Tesla, like Medea wrote the script.
I love Tesla.
For this commercial.
I love Tesla.
In front of the White House.
I love Tesla.
For your friend's business.
I love Tesla.
The fact check for both of them, false. Musk did not recuse from the Tesla event on the White House lawn. Maybe the stock price pressure made him rethink the limits that he claimed so loudly on Fox News and television and elsewhere, but they're literally hawking the company's product. If you saw it in a movie, you'd say that's a bit blatant. Would they really do it like a showroom? That is how Musk has been running roughshod over not only the spirit of the rules, but his own claims for himself. His companies also have contracts with many different federal agencies. And as I've told you before, some of his companies have done remarkable things. They produce value. They were under contracts before he had this relationship with the current administration. So we want factually to report on this and make sure that you're not getting ripped off. But we're not suggesting that he's never done anything of independent value. The problem is now he wants it both ways. And then also trying to slash the government and fire all these federal workers while doing business with the federal government. The savings that he said he would produce, the claims about them have also gone down.
I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
I think we'll try for $2 trillion. I think that's like the best case outcome. But I do think that you kind of have to have some overage. I think if we try for $2 trillion, we've got a good shot at getting one. We can actually find $1 trillion in savings. That would be roughly 15% of the $7 trillion budget. I'm excited to announce that we anticipate savings in FY26 from reduction of waste and fraud by $150 billion.
Well, it's a good thing he's not a businessman or anything. You know what I mean? It's a good, he's more of a creative type. You know what I mean? He don't really deal with numbers like that. So you mean to tell me the guy who's only here because of his enormous wealth, who was elected along with Donald Trump because they are businessmen, can't keep their numbers straight? That's what you are asking me to believe. Well, one thing I can say, Elon Musk, is we can't get you back to Tesla soon enough because they are in desperate need, because you have done such a phenomenal job with our federal government, as evidenced by the response of the people whenever a GOP representative decides to appear in public. Based on the response of the people, you have done such a phenomenal job. And clearly Tesla is missing your presence. So they, I'm sure, will welcome you back with open arms. And we are so sorry to see you go. So sorry.
Just this hour, it's a headline that reads, Tesla board opens search for a CEO to succeed Elon Musk. When you read the story, sources are telling the Journal that Tesla's board members started reaching out to several executive search firms, initiating a formal process to replace Musk. My source joining me tonight is the Wall Street Journal's Emily Glazer, who just broke this reporting. And Emily, thanks for joining us on such breaking news. Can you just tell us what happened here and what the board of Tesla was thinking?
Absolutely. So Tesla has been going through some pain lately. It just reported earnings last week and had profits decline about 70%. And our reporting shows that around a month ago, board members were reaching out to executive recruiting firms to start a formal CEO succession search process. This is a formal kind of next chapter. Obviously, companies do succession planning all the time for their next leader, but we know that this is happening as there was concern from investors about Musk spending too much time in DC, given his government role, and concern about the company really struggling lately. We also know that board members prior to earnings had an update. They gathered with Elon Musk and they said to him that we really need you to refocus on Tesla and we need you to say it publicly. And he did not push back.
Well, because when you get back together, you don't want to ask what happened while I was gone. You know what I mean? You don't want to ask, no, did you open up a tender, or was you on MASH? Was you at Paint and Sip? You know what I mean? You don't want to ask, how many singles events you attended while I was gone. And definitely don't look in the cupboard. Don't look in the cabinet. Don't look underneath the sinks in the bathroom. You know what I mean? We was broken up. And we don't ask those questions, Elon. Don't ask. Don't ask, because that ain't going nowhere good. I've been there before. I've been there before. As far as Tesla's concerned. My condolences. Yeah, my condolences. You was almost there. You was almost there. If you would have moved a little bit more aggressively when it came to a succession plan, then you could have got somebody in place. But good luck. Good luck. But you might still have the security outside. You know what I mean? You can still deal with the security. And by the way, you can take, because I said they can take all the panels that came off of the trucks, send those down to DOGE, so he can create a box to collect his things. Once he brings his things back to Tesla, you can reuse those panels and create some more. It's kind of like recycling. You know what I mean? It's like recycling. Like you make the truck, the panels come off the truck, you make more trucks. The panels come off the truck, you make more trucks. You know what I mean? Just you keeping it green. You keeping it green. Y'all can have that one for free. Y'all got it. Now, as far as America is concerned, I recall about a month ago where I talked about how everything is about what the other possibilities are, right? Everything is about your options. And as opposed as I would have been to Marco Rubio back prior to November, once Trump was in fact elected and we saw the caliber of people he was looking at for his cabinet, I wanted to see how many jobs Marco Rubio could possibly do. Could he clone himself so we can have, because he definitely needs to take over HHS and he definitely needs to take over the Department of Education. And so, just put everything on his plate. We are actually moving closer to that reality, which is horrifying, yet an improvement. That is our situation in 2025. Huh? Now I told Vivek to contact you about how to qualify for your unemployment. Matter of fact, you don't even qualify for that. You cut that program. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. I'm excited to announce an addition to the family. No, not that kind of addition to the family. At least I don't think. Hey, baby! No, this will be in addition to our professional family. I'm excited to announce the new Patreon page. That is patreon.com/Reese Waters. For those of you that are looking for another option for membership, you're looking at some of the perks and bennies of membership over on YouTube, like early access to the videos, some of the videos that I post throughout the week that never hit the main timeline. You're looking for access to the members only lives or the back catalog. All that good stuff is now also available over on Patreon. There's also some Patreon exclusive things like the community chat function, which is kind of like our premiere that never ends. If you were looking to discuss the goings on of the day throughout the day, just like we always do in the live chats during the premieres, now you can do it. I'll be over in those chats. The mods will be over in those chats. So you'll be able to enjoy that as well. Patreon also allows me to release a newsletter weekly. Now there's a monthly newsletter that I've spoken about previously that will still be going out and everybody will be getting that. But but there'll also be a curated weekly newsletter as well with some of the content that either has been left out or going a little bit further than some of the videos that we put on the timeline. You can sign up for that over at Patreon as part of their exclusive offerings. And if you would like to give Patreon a try, we're excited to offer a discount for the first few months of membership. And if you are a current member in deep water or troubled water and you would like to try Patreon, we can actually offer you a couple months for free. So look out for that code. That'll be hitting your inbox shortly. But as I always say, I am extremely grateful to all of you for making this moment possible. You sure it's no baby?